Welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studio. And here today, I have something very, very cool. Somebody that is a personification of a lot of Detroit cool and is taking it across the world. Like, really fresh off a plane, one of them big international planes kind of right now, possibly in God knows what time zone. But it happens to be the time zone that's Detroit 313 today, one that spins the sounds and keeping people so many moves and dancing. You know, the whole house feel, the whole dance feel, the whole electronic feel,
The feel good feel.
the feel good feel. Stacey Hotwaxx Hale, how are you today?
Oh, I feel real good.
All right, all right.
Glad to see you.
Definitely, definitely.
Glad to see the side of the hill.
This side of the hill of the lodge. Yes.
I've never seen it all my life.
It's
It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, we are over here in the pocket of anybody that's been over here knows, like down the street from Greater Quinn, AME, off the service drive.
Yes.
The Lodge Service Drive, that's where Detroit is Different resides in studio. As you're watching inside what most of my life was my grandma's room is now a studio.
So I was telling you the flashback here, being in the neighborhoods, and I could flash back to my parents and visiting their friends and in this hood. And of course, and I grew up right at Grand River, Livernois.
So not that far away.
Not that far away. We'd walk those distances.
Yeah, hey, that is the home of a couple big church institutions over there right now. You know what I'm saying? Down in that pavement. But with that feel, as you say, that feel good music and that sound, where did it connect? How did you first end up connecting? Let's start there. How did you end up getting behind them turntables and spinning them together?
I'm going to start out from the very, very, very beginning. Once we're born, we're inspired by something. Something happens to us. We don't know that, but as we become adults, we understand it later.
Yep.
And so my family was music lovers. They weren't. My brother played the trumpet, but ideally he loved albums, music.
Okay.
My parents loved music. We were always dancing and singing. And so, as the little kid, I was dancing and singing with them. Just typical, you do what your parents do.
Yeah.
And I can remember them putting me up on the buffet, and I was playing the vertical blinds.
Hilarious.
Now I had to be really little and they're gonna pick me up and put me on top of some furniture. But my first memory of loving music and doing it, I was singing Dakota State and Late Show and playing the blinds like I was playing a harp. And the adults, you know how they look at my little, and of course I remember the song word for word, Dakota State, and now the song as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. I remember a great jazz artist, Dakota State, and singing Late Show.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. So let's even go deeper into the classic Detroit is Different. Your roots. How many generations deep are your family roots and your roots to the city of Detroit?
My mother was born here.
Okay.
Her mother was born in Georgia.
Whereabouts? Macon, Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
She's born in Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
Yes.
And a lot of black folks from Georgia made their way up to Detroit.
Yes, they did. Yes.
What was the calling for for her parents, your grandparents, to make their way up this way?
Well, probably work. I never had a chance to know my grandparents. They were both passed on by the time I came along. But my grandmother's sister was my nanny.
Okay.
And she told me stories.
Okay.
And I remember those stories, and I tell them to the generations now.
So that means like more than your mother.
Yes.
Like so everyone stayed up this way instead of going back down.
They did. Correct. My mother came from a family of 9 of them. It was 9 of them.
Okay.
And the last 2 children born was my mother and her sister, Essie Weaver.
Okay, and I'm guessing they were born here in Detroit.
They were born in Detroit. That's correct.
Okay. All right. All right. So the Weavers was in effect. What neighborhood?
Pingree
Ah.
and Dexter. Yep.
So I went to Northwestern, so we call that P-Town.
Oh,
For
P Town.
anybody that
Okay,
knows
so
it.
P Town. Yeah.
Yeah, Pengree, Philadelphia. It's like,
Yep.
going to Northwestern. It's like, oh, they stay over there on P-Town.
So, yeah. And went from Pingree to Tuxedo, and then to Dalrymple.
Okay. All right. So that whole community itself, definitely for sure, like a Northwestern neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. No,
I think
you call it Northwest.
it can
I
also
call it
be
North End.
well, Northwestern High School.
Okay, you said Northwest. That's different now. So when you say
So,
Northwest,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
I reference
It's
that as a
definitely-
location in the city.
Yeah. So I think an NO, because that's why we call that P-Town. Like, just
Okay.
like Northwestern, like Dexter, Pengree,
Yep.
Dexter, Philadelphia,
Yes, all that.
and like Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think of Steve Soul Food and their family and
Mm-hmm.
the Moorish temple over there. It's just a lot of stuff going on around
Oh yeah,
that enclave of culture.
it is. It is.
You know,
It is.
wow.
Just it was.
So growing up, that's where they were at. Was did that stay as a family home?
Yes. It's still in the family home right now.
Okay. Y'all still got roots around that way.
Yeah, we don't want to give it up. My mother has a very strong constitution. It was like it was the first home they bought and raised 4 children. And so of course, as her children, we have gone. I don't want it, gone. And I kept my mother there for the duration of her life, and of course she got older, got dementia, but she still was the matriarch. And my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, Paula, who happened to grow up next door to us,
Wow.
moved in and helped, with the care of my mother. And at the end of everything, I gifted the house to her to keep it in the family.
That's amazing. So with that, what did your mom do when you were coming up?
My mother was a contract administrator for the federal government.
Wow. Okay.
She was big. She was.
So contract administrator. So that means like when people submitted bids to get the government contracting that we hear so much about today.
That's correct.
Your mom was one of those people that will review. All right. Now,
That would make the decision. Exactly.
You need a couple more people on here, so I'm gonna send this back to you.
Yep.
Tighten up.
Yep.
And let's work on it.
That's just what she did. That's what she did. She'd fly all over the world. She actually trained people in Vietnam.
Wow.
We have no real concept of this as children. I understood that's what she did, but I had no idea the magnitude of what it was. I was a little kid.
How did your mom even get into that? What was like the, you know what I'm saying? It's like ZipRecruiter wasn't going down back then.
Right. A great question. Her mother always told her if you know how to type in shorthand that you'll always have a job. You have to think about this back in the 40s and 50s. And this is, like if you have the skill, and then being a black person, it doesn't mean man or woman. And, she never scrubbed floors or did anything like that, but she thought if she had this skill that she could always have a job. And so I believe she was hired in as doing something in administration. But they got her, and then they sent her to school. I still have the degrees where they trained her and do that. And when she became that was the job that she had.
What school did she go to?
They trained her in tournament in Virginia somewhere. I don't.
So somewhere like within government contracting.
It was in the government service.
Okay, all right. So they saw that talent and then kind of connected, and that grew from there.
Yes.
Okay.
She made it all the way up to a GS-12.
Wow.
I think when you first start, you have GS-1. And it goes like that. And the bigger your number is the more responsibility you have, and you make the most money.
Yeah. So I'm also imagining all types of, just other business people that your mom had relationships with, traveled.
Oh, yeah.
Connected across the world.
It's funny you say that, yeah. The dues of, it makes me I'm thinking of who would come over for family and who we would get Christmas cards from and all that stuff. And made me think of the name Duzavores,
Yeah.
We was white people. My dog didn't like white people.
Hilarious.
It was like, how did...
So that kind of leads over to you. Did you grow up in that neighborhood yourself?
Yes.
Okay. So brothers and sisters?
Yes.
All right, how many?
2 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. Are you old, young?
I'm right in the middle.
Right in that middle spot.
Smack dab in the middle.
Okay. So with the brothers and sisters in that neighborhood, what do you remember most like as a child from that community yourself?
That we were together. And as I said, we walked everywhere. We'd walk up to Dexter to go to the show. We'd walk over to go to the show to the Riviera.
Mm.
We'd walk under the tunnel to go to Sears, where now the Jeffrey Freeway goes through.
Yeah.
Used to be railroad tracks there.
It's interesting you talk about that because so much is highlighted about the displacement of so many individuals with the I-375 movement. And because I went to high school there, I was the alumni president of Northwestern for a while. People talk so much about the displacement of what happened at the Jeffries Freeway.
Yes.
If people don't understand, it definitely was not, I think, to the known precedent of history of what Black Bottom was. But the business corridor, as I'm understanding, right there where the Jeffries Freeway is. In 90, like, it was something. And then it's also because it's like an enclave of both. It's 94 and 96. And really, like, hence the northwest point of the city.
Right at that point. But, I think more of the Grand River part, Oakland, the way that went, because I remember clearly what it was before the freeway came through. Again, not driving at that age, I was a kid.
And it was businesses, many homes.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their home.
Yeah, I remember. Yep, it was so easy for us to walk and go up to Federals and the Sears and to Berry Surplus.
And you talked about like underground.
We'd go underground. It was a tunnel. It went under where because railroad tracks. The railroad tracks are still there.
Still
now that
there,
I think about it.
yeah.
I just said,
Okay. And that stands, and you say together, when you say that we were together, do you mean in reference to community or do you mean in reference to your family?
Both. Both. I was raised at through St. Cecilia. I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
And I was there I was in the very last 9th grade class there. So I would have graduated there, from 12th grade. But, stuff started cutting back. They took away the high school. Then it went to 9th grade, and they took away the 9th grade. And I was in the very last 9th grade there. I watched the revolution. I watched the riots, as a kid looking at my kids' eyes. I saw them and remembered a lot. And the fact that I love history, I can relate to it. I can, my recall is still working.
And,
I think.
And you can match it with your own understanding, lived experience.
Exactly.
Contextualized. So that means also, if you get this, you're not that far away from Motown Records either. Because when I think of Pingree and Dexter, that's still walking distance from Motown.
But that's down the street from Northwestern, so that's just a little bit. Not that, but walking was no thing to us at that time. So then, sure, we would have walked over there.
Did you all connect any at the time with because this is often what I hear, and they're redoing those towers, the apartment building right next to Northwestern, and all of the people that stayed there, and what was tied in, and just the culture of West Grand Boulevard. What do you remember about West Grand Boulevard from there?
See, my stomping grounds kind of was McKenzie.
So you were going the other direction.
And then I went to Cody for high school.
Cody, okay.
Yes. So
how did you end up going to Cody? That's the question.
Great. Well, first of all, like I said, I was raised in Catholic school, and I'm used to a family unit. It was 1 first grade, 1 second grade, 1 third grade, and so we knew everybody in the school. And either you had a sibling in another grade. If you thought you were going to skip school, the teacher would come over to your house and get you.
Oh man.
Okay.
That's messed up.
It was, when we were still kids. We sneak somebody in to go buy a beer, and we all drink out of the same beer and think we're doing something. I mean, it's a beer, okay?
Hilarious.
and so I'm used to a unit like that. And so where I lived, I was supposed to go to McKenzie. It was the first time I saw that many students in one place at one time, and it messed with my brain. I'm used to being in a school I can only imagine. Let's see, 30. So what's 30 times 12?
Mm.
That amount of kids
In a day.
in a school.
Hmm.
Whereas you go over to McKenzie and it's quadruple that.
Yeah.
So I went in shock. Nobody prepared me.
Mm.
People weren't going to class; they were in the hall, and I'm going like, "What are they doing?" I'm used to more structure,
Uh-huh.
and so I was so afraid that I ran back home,
Hmm.
and I wanted to go to Cody. I don't know why. I don't know why to this day.
Mm.
But for whatever reason, I wanted to go to. I didn't want to go to McKenzie. I don't know why. And all of my siblings all graduated from McKenzie.
Okay. So I'm sure some Mackenzie stags.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Didn't
my
want to be
sister
down
was
with
young.
stagnation.
My sister younger than me, and my brothers older than me. They all, but not me. I wanted to go to Cody for.
Okay.
I don't know why.
And
It was, and you had to have a um particular curriculum to go to a school outside of your arena,
outside of the district
the district where you were supposed to go, and mine was business. Not
Okay.
that I wanted business, I should have, but I'm a kid, I'm stupid, because I'm more very analytical. I'm an engineer. I like more stuff like that, and it's unfortunate that my counselors in the school was very prejudiced, but I was just wanted to get out of school.
Hmm.
Didn't guide me properly.
So when you say prejudice on the front of you being black, or prejudice on the front of you being a woman that's into engineering?
All that.
All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Cody, so people kind of get along that tradition. When I think of Cody graduates, Detroit is different. Omari Barksdale, also Jessica Care Moore.
That's right.
So many people
Wanda Mack
was in there. Yeah.
DJ Zap,
Hmm.
Daryl Price, a lot, and because all these people came after me, and it was just stunning how many of us came out of there. But ideally, I was probably there first,
Okay.
and out of the people we just named.
Okay. And what do you remember about? So you mentioned the counselors. What do you remember about that Cody experience when you go there?
Um, it wasn't the best thing for me.
Mm. So do you feel like you should have gone to McKenzie or stayed at another Catholic school? What is your
Stayed at another Catholic school.
Okay. Okay.
But you have to think at age 14, 15, how much common sense do you have for what you should do with
Yeah.
your life?
So
Like in that category. I mean, I had mother and father. My parents were great. So it's no lack of that. But when you're ignorant to some things, you don't know.
so during this time, as you're getting into that feel good music, what music are you playing, and how are you taking to these music collections? What artists are you listening to? What connections?
Another great question, and this is the reason why I was there, and along with my brothers, the reason why I know rock.
Hmm.
I'm a house head.
Okay.
But give it up to Jessica Care Moore, waking that back up in me about my rock background. One of my favorite types of music is fusion, and I like rock. I like good music, pretty much. But reaching back on that and going like, hey, where did that come from? So my class song for high school was "Stairway to Heaven" by Led Zeppelin.
Mm. Ain't that something?
I was 17.
Hmm.
Then at that same age, I walked into the Chessmate, and that's where I heard Ken Collier, Dwayne Bradley, Morris Mitchell, and Ronaldo White, and I heard the music mix. And I went, how did it do that? And I crawled my way up in the booth and found it, looked over there, saw the equipment, and immediately went to the store and bought that stuff.
Okay. So this is phenomenal. So you saw the equipment,
I saw the equipment.
saw a little bit of what was doing.
I heard
And
it.
it's like,
I heard it, and then I went to see what made it. How did that happen?
what store did you go to?
Highland Appliance.
Where at? Where is that?
I know they still had to sign up in Highland Park.
So in Highland Park,
I can't recall which Highland
Where?
Appliance I went to,
but you went to Highland Appliance.
but I went to Highland Appliance.
and you're like, I want to get some turntables.
I bought turntable and a mixer. That's correct. Two
turntables,
turntables and a mixer.
and I'm sure
I just had to buy one because I had a turntable already. That we didn't go through that
Okay.
part. I had one turntable,
Uh huh.
and I was already entertaining and doing stuff because I was imitating or emulating what my brother was doing with his wall of music and records and reel-to-reels and all that. That fascinated me.
So I'm sure at the time, I mean, even today,
Yeah.
the woman DJ, people look at like, all right, what's going on? What was it like even just going to buy the turntables and mixer for you?
Oh, I don't know. They
don't even
just showed me the
remember.
money. That's all.
They
They
like,
didn't
give
care
me
nothing
some
about
cash.
that. They didn't.
Okay,
They
so
didn't
it
reference.
wasn't like you buying this as a girl. It was like
No.
more so just like, hey, you got enough money, there you go.
Yeah.
So you get your mixer, you get your turntable, you put them together.
Mm-hmm.
How are you? I mean, this is also it's no YouTube University back then.
No.
How are you not? First off, breaking every needle.
I didn't break the needles, but I broke some ears because them mixes was like horrible. Ooh, I had a reel-to-reel and I recorded this stuff on, and I listened back to it. I said, "You got to be, it was god awful." I should have kept that. I erased it. It was so bad. I erased it.
Okay, so you just take a crack at blending and
Records.
then also
Records, mind you.
let me explain this to people that almost nowadays everybody's a DJ. You make a playlist.
Oh
and
my
everything.
God! Yeah, that's
But
it.
some of my hip hop background can contextualize this. So this is where it's like when people say, "Car, you talk so much during interviews. I want to contextualize this so I can get the answer the right way." But DJing 101, a lot of this because the turntable was not invented then as an instrument. It was invented as a record player.
Correct.
So because the turntable was a record player, a lot of stuff like tempo sync, a lot of stuff like catching the beat with the right transition, that was all done with these, meaning like your hands and your ears had to know the timing of different things. Hence the whole concept of a break beat on a record. It's called a break beat and a drum session. What that was basically having two turntables, having the same record twice. And it's like, oh, I like when James Brown does, You catch it on the left turntable, so you slide the crossfader on your mixer over to the left. And while that's happening, you have your other headphone playing on the right turntable to catch the and then you're just sliding back and forth, 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 back and forth. And this is what makes DJing more of an art form too. But a lot of like the tempo sync, a lot of the things that can be done on computer programs now, that was really done with these and this in the beginning. It was like, it definitely was no like university. You couldn't go to the library and probably get a book on this stuff. It was a lot of trial and error and a lot of broken needles and I guess like you say broken ears and a lot of records being messed up from people's parents.
Yeah, I get I'm not put out but notes and hitting them. Stop it.
So that's what I wanted to contextualize so people kind of get an understanding of like DJing in the beginning was not what it is now.
And I'm glad you brought that up because this is what it is. And I said the same thing. Everybody's a DJ. Okay, now everybody is. Why? Because we got this. We can DJ on our watch. We can do this with punch buttons, and they just looking at numbers and matching them. And see sometimes I'm doing a set thing like how many BPMs you are, and I look at them so crazy. They go like what? And I just because I'm still designed. Use your ears. I'm not. I don't have to look. Okay, so all this electronics has given us these tools, and that's great, and they work. But still, if you don't use your ears, you'll crash. I don't care what. So, 1,000 DJs per block around the world. Everybody's DJ. Only 5% know how to program, though.
Explain what programming is.
Playing the right music for the right people at the right time.
Wait, let's say that one more time.
Playing the right music for the right people at the right time. That sync button ain't gonna teach you that. That whatever you got ain't gonna teach you that. It has to come out of. You have to come out of listening. You have to come out of observation, and know how to deliver.
And some of this is in the platform of I'm speaking from my cousin DJ R2 at the time, but Lumumba Reynolds that still does so much production stuff. With
That's my yeah.
But the amount of records Lumumba had when I was a kid, like the
that's
DJs
your cousin
from back then, yeah.
Did you know that we're close?
Yeah.
Okay.
An abundant amount of records.
Yeah.
Like an abundance. So listening to a lot of records and
Mm-hmm.
hence knowing the music
Mm-hmm.
was that itself. So the average DJ, I don't know if people know, like I think is that House Party 2 when Kid or when Martin's characters going to the record store and he's
Uh-huh.
like getting a stack of records. So a record is this thin, but like every week he's getting like a stack of records
Mm-hmm.
this thick. That was commonplace for most of the DJs I know. So like listening to so many records and sometimes just even having a record to the side of like, okay, we're going to have this because I may get a request. It was a different feel. Or
Mm-hmm.
like my guy, DJ Trump Tight or Tyrone Bradley or LaRock. A lot of the DJs that like come from an era with vinyl.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you talk about the right record at the right time,
Exactly.
sometimes it's already like knowing how to listen to so much music. So let's just go through your ear interpretation. When you hear music, and I know we all hear music,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
but from a DJ's lens, what are you listening to when you hear a song to know if this is a right record for the right time with the right people?
Well, it depends on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
A different time of what's happening is to which ear I'm listening with.
Mm.
It's the same way how I prepare for functions or parties when I'm getting ready to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm shopping for music, I'm listening for something that's going to suit that event. So I may listen to 200 songs, and it has to have that flavor.
Wait, time out. That alone already, I guess, puts you in a different stance because to listen to 200 songs,
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume the average person just is not,
No.
like this summer, almost everywhere I went would just play that Kendrick Lamar Drake diss like 5 times a night. And it's like, oh, we going to get that same response. But
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's like, I don't know if that's the same level of DJing,
No, right.
They're
They're
no
just
offense
busy,
to the
playing,
person doing that.
and it's just different. And then it's back to, again, as a DJ, what type of DJ you decide you want to be. So since I come from the basic, I've been underground my entire life.
Mhm.
So I was always playing something nobody knew.
So introducing music to people is different than playing what people are expecting to hear.
Correct. I'm not your top 40 DJ.
Mm.
I'm not your hip hop DJ. Although I can play the heck out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I have the skills to play anything. I can play opera.
Okay.
But it's back to timing, delivery, if you choose to do that. Those type of things. And so a party that I play for an older black.
Well, I'll give you the type of event, and then you can tell me like what you're listening for.
Gotcha. Okay.
So let's say it is a 100-year-old birthday party for a woman that was a church first lady for most of her life, and it's happening on the front lawn of that church, and they got a big tent, and they hired you to be the DJ. What are you listening for?
That's good. First of all, I have to be very careful for which type of who it is and whether I would take it, because sometimes it's so far I just won't do it just because
It's not in your scope.
It's not in my scope. However, something like that, I kind of, I don't like playing hustle music. That's how they don't line up. But I always want to make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I would gospel house them to death.
Gospel house.
Mm-hmm.
1 second, time out. I'm unaware of the genre of music called gospel house. It's gospel house.
Oh,
I guess I should know this.
You didn't know that?
I did not know this.
Oh,
So I'm guessing if it's gospel in house, it's a lot of people from Chicago and Detroit that make it.
no, it's not. Who makes it? And see, we'll probably need 4 or 5 podcasts for you to get this right.
Full scope. Okay.
Full scope, because I got a story about that. But the Chicago ain't got nothing to do with gospel house.
Chicago got nothing to do with gospel house.
No,
Okay.
that comes from the church.
Mm.
That comes
Okay.
from the church.
Okay.
And just in the introduction in it, Shirley Caesar. The Clark sisters. Where they from?
Yeah.
Right now, to this day, no matter what party I'm at, the gospel house crosses everybody.
Wow.
And it blows my mind. It just does. And the reason why is because that message in the music is so positive. So even your white people to get to know, and then the Charisma did one, because you got a light bill due, work it out, and you got a gas bill too. You heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
That's a gospel house song.
Wow. I guess I never put it
But
together
that's what it is. What you doing? And you got a gas bill too, work it out. That came from a sermon. And then you brought the sunshine in my life. They done beat that up so house. There's two big old house. Everybody, you made my day. I'm a witness to Jesus coming into my life.
All right, I'm there. All right, so
Okay,
so you did that. Now I got it. Now okay, let me
works. It worked. You dropped that in on you dropped that in on a techno party, and they even go like they start testifying.
So 1 second, you got that party rocking for the first lady.
Well, you told me who she was.
All right, so
I told you this is what but they would have to, in my mind, this would be understood up front.
So now let's put you in another scenario.
Okay.
I like this. This is interesting. a grand opening for a men's shoe store that's specializing in, let's say, like very designer chic shoes that are from Africa.
Okay.
And you're the DJ. What you playing?
I'm a piano.
Okay. I'm familiar with I'm a piano.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And matching that with the feel. Now I get where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, always knowing that the music is curating the experience.
Exactly. And it has to be music I like.
Yeah.
Else I'm not. I still has to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, anybody can say, "Oh, come and do." No, I'm not gonna do a poll. I have to feel it when I say be me, and because I'm so wide open with music, so it's not, and not that close up. I'm not gonna I won't do a hip hop party.
Okay.
Because you're not gonna believe me. Because I'm probably be looking like this.
Yeah.
So I get because the content, the music is fat, but the content is just gone so far to the left that I absolutely despise it.
So, and we can expand on that. Let's just start there. Let's stay there before I go back into more of this.
I like you giving me scenarios like what would you do? Yeah.
So hip hop has gone so far to the left that you just choose not to deal with it.
Yeah, I pass.
In a lot of ways. So
right.
like a party.
Yeah, and I know people that can rock
That'll do it.
I know some. And I enjoy a good hip hop DJ. Yeah. I mean,
What about the content just has definitely turned you away from more of it?
Just because I've never been hip hop or rap anyway. Mm-hmm. However, the content of it back in the day used to have a story and would say something, it would mean something, it would do. Now, today, it seems, how many nasty words can I find? The story don't make, I can't.
You don't want that in your psyche.
No. And then, when I hear that music where someone's singing it or doing it, and I asked them, is that going to be your oldie but goodie when you 80 in the rocking chair? Suck my, bend over, let me fuck that. That what y'all going to be doing? That's your oldie but, our oldie but goodies are songs that from back in the day, at least they're something you want to sing.
Yeah.
We can sing songs from the 40s and 50s. This is before our time, but at least we can sing the songs.
It was definitely a lot more implied.
Yeah.
Yeah, than explicit.
The explicit. So, and it seemed like to me, they break their neck to see how much raunchier can I be. I get tired of hearing nigga. And so much white people making songs saying nigga.
Yeah.
And how can every other word be that? Not that you can't say it. but it's so infiltrated that it just, I was sitting in a beautiful restaurant downtown, and the music was playing, and we was trying to count. It was right after Black Women Rock. We went around the corner and was sitting at, I forget what name of the restaurant. It used to be the Rustic. It's something else now.
Yeah.
And just went on and on and on.
Yeah.
It was said it so much that it blocked out whatever was happening musically.
Yeah, definitely my favorite art form. But some of the societal gripes about it and what its impact has had on community, it's hard to even have the arguments that I used to have because logically it's not as aligned. Which bring me back to more of in that journey in alignment in DJing. So you get your tables. You learn how do you get to a point where you're confident enough now to do an event or do a party yourself?
Great question. So it was a little bar down the street. I always forget the name of it, but whatever. But it was, I was
In the neighborhood.
in the neighborhood. And when I thought I had, I love innocence. It's so much poured into people today that they don't give a chance to be innocent. So when I have a youth, I said, let them be a child as long as they can. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you can only play 4 or 5 records and mix them, then you got to stop and slow down. You can't keep going. I don't know no better. So this one I'm thinking. So anyway, and I finally get me a mix together of 5 songs. So, and I go down the street and give the DJ a break. They're like, sure, they gone. Then it was a white bar. She's gonna hit it.
Yeah.
And I practice on the people like that. They would just like, cool. There's out.
So you're getting your experience playing for people. What's the difference in playing for people versus working on your sets by yourself?
Response. It's only, and that still holds true for today. Like I can listen to them and love it, but you still want the approval of other people.
How do you know they're approving? What do you judge that by?
Their body language. Their movement, they look at you crazy or they, taking it, or they'll tell you.
Okay. All right. So now you're getting more experience at this bar. Are you seeing DJing as like, this is what I'm going to do? This looks as a career. Or are you still are you looking at it as a hobby? Like, how are you interpreting your journey in DJing? At that time.
No, well, listen. So while I was in high school, I had said I wanted my own radio station. I was programmed and we kind of skipped the part. So I was kind of programmed in my head at a very early age, not understanding, the only thing I knew as a DJ is that announcer on the radio. Hey, you listen to WCHB Soul Radio. It's on AM.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew as a DJ was an announcer. There was no such thing as mixing and doing all that stuff. So I would perform. I would put on shows for the block, pay a quarter, and I'd get the kids and I'd teach them the songs and put them on. So I was already on a mission. I'm like, hey, I think about that. And it's like, hey. And so by the time I was a teenager, and I managed to get equipment thanks to my brothers, I had reel-to-reel, and I would record all my music, and I never wanted to hear any silence. And so I would make the music so tight or put inserts right in the beginning where you would never hear one song come off, next one come on. It would just be nonstop. And I remember my friend Ronnie Murphy asked me, he said, why don't you let the record go off or hear, something? And I remember telling him I don't ever want to hear any silence. I had never heard a mix before in my life. So what happened when I walked in and heard that mix? I went,
wow.
I lit up. And so I was already
in that direction.
I was in that direction and didn't know. I didn't know. And that's why that was so for me. So fast forward, I go and I do this. My uncle owned a bar called The Circus. And he told me, I'll let you be the DJ. And I'm opening up this after hour joint. You're going to be the DJ. And I'm like, what? And so that's how it happened. So I actually got a job making $25 a night.
Okay. And what was the culture of an after hour spot?
Ooh-wee.
Being the DJ.
It was the bomb, man. Wait. It was the bomb. Hey, mind you, we had belt driven turntables. There was no direct drive then. Or if it was, I didn't have them.
Okay, so also for people to know, a belt-driven turntable and a direct drive in the vinyl world are so different about the way that the record spins, which has a whole lot to do with being a DJ, obviously, especially if you're a DJ that want to always keep sound going and no silence.
That's right. That's right. So I learned on belt driven turntables. I can't, I'm sure. I can't remember what. They were belt driven turntables at the club. It's club exclusive. Club that I know. And I'm trying to think if I had direct drive I can't remember.
So
I can't remember. I've only had 2 sets of turntables in my life, and I still have the one set. I've had them forever.
So your DJ handle then, was it always Hotwaxx?
No, it wasn't.
What was your DJ handle then?
I didn't really have one. It was just Stacey, but then I came up with Star Booty.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Because I had this pair of jeans, had a big old star on the butt.
Star Booty.
It was Star Booty.
It was just like people knew.
And so, but I didn't really use it. It still was. I didn't know.
So,
but if for some reason you go to some records and you see, and if you happen to look, because I did get a stamp, and I stamped my record Star Booty, and if ever you see that, it was Star Booty. It was a little accent on it.
French.
So if you ever see something that you go like, you'll know what that is.
So, and around what time is this? What era? Like late. Like what era? Late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s?
Something like that.
Okay. So this is as electronic and techno music is, I'm guessing some of that is coming together. A lot of what's happening with the culture and dance music is happening and coming together. I'm guessing this is running concurrent around that time.
That is correct. Disco, I guess, would be the primarily, like at that time. And your Evelyn Champagne King was out, and Quartz, Beyond the Clouds. That was, because that's not house music. And it's not techno music. Get Off Foxy. That's not house music. It's not techno, but it's very
dance and fast paced.
Exactly.
So like some of that dance fast paced techno or dance fast paced disco leads to a dance floor perspective being open to what becomes of electronic music. And I think a lot of the electronic DJs always talk about craft work. And that's one of those interesting things where it's like you see like some of the most gangsters of Detroit like going to a craft work show at one point in time. And Detroit is different. You all wonder why I say Detroit is different.
Oh, it is.
It's stuff like that, because it's like you wouldn't think that it's like it's going to be like some gangsters at a craft work show. In Detroit in the 80s, it'd be some gangsters at the craft work show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is all kind of coming together around the time. When do you make the connections to meet some of the other people like in the movement building this dance culture and electronic culture, like meet your clan of DJs?
Well, I'm full of history, so give me a moment. I'm just trying to think of which bag I'm going to come out of. So at the time, which brings me to Ken Collier, and I go to him and I say, is there a woman in Detroit that's
spinning,
just bringing it like you do? He said, no, Miss Stacey. I said, I'm going to be that girl.
Hilarious.
I told him that. And so I would, it's after I seen them playing at Chessmate, which was right up here on McNichols and Livernois. It's a gas station. No, it's a laundromat right now.
Yeah. That's a laundromat I go to.
Hey, well that's where I got bit.
University Laundry.
Yeah, that's exactly where. That's where I like. Oh, this is what I should do. And I'm thinking the term house music wasn't invented yet. Okay, and you're talking about electronics. See, these weren't terms at this time. and I can see how you can relate to them now. Coming from a hip hop perspective
Yeah.
and stuff. But you have to remember this. So this was called, I guess, Dance Me. We wasn't looking at the title. We was just saying good music.
You were dancing.
That was it. Want you to dance. So let me just throw a question at you. What kind of song would you call "Ring My Bell"?
I'd say that's disco.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, yep, that would be disco. But dance. I remember putting that on there. I thought I had lost my mind because they'd never heard it before.
But definitely dance music. It's certainly, and I don't necessarily know if all dance music is disco.
Well, then because it could change titles, progressive, doing all this here.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, so this is what was happening. Late 70s, early 80s, or whatever, during this time. I was discovered in Club Exclusive, Club Hollywood is what the first name was. Because I kept hearing about this lady that's playing this music and they come over and they see me. So, it was all women's club, about 800 women a week. But men would come too because it's full of women.
So, yeah, I was going to say, if you got a lot of women.
They're coming. They don't care.
Men
who can I turn? It don't matter.
It's like.
I remember they come bring me drinks, all kind of stuff. What is his name? Larry? Oh, God. He's real big on the hustle world right now.
Mm-hmm.
They played at, I can't remember. And I'm looking right at his face. He'd kill me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let's just go back. And I still have high respect for him. He's cool. But he would come, have his portable liquor thing. You open it up and had the liquor in the glasses and all that.
Oh man, that's that stuff that be like in the back of those. I collect old magazines, like
Yeah.
they have stuff like that in the back of magazines.
Right. and Joe Muir, not
Yeah.
Joe Muir. God dang.
Joe Muir from
The basketball person had a bar on Livernois.
Mm-hmm.
Strata.
Okay.
Joe Strata. See, and mind you, I didn't really know who he was, but he used to be a Detroit Piston or some famous basketball player.
Okay.
And he had a bar over here on Livernois, right between Linden and whatever.
Okay.
And the whole bar, all of them would come to the bar to come and dance and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he lost his watch or something, and somebody turned it into me, and I had it.
Wow.
And I had to watch or something, and I gave him his watch, and he gave me a $20 tip. I was,
Like,
mind you, this is 1981 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, so that's like
All I'm getting paid is $25 a
I
night.
was gonna say that's like $100
I was rich.
today. So
So all this, was happening, and so then Kevin McAllister was another guy that worked for Duncan Sound. He came in and heard me, and he was telling these cats, "Hey, there's this woman and da. And so I had to go in and audition to see if I could be part of this DJ
collective.
and that was the first time I saw Direct Drive, and it had a quartz lock on it. But I was too afraid to say I can't adjust my speed because I didn't want to, girl, I don't want to say she don't. I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
I was too afraid because they left me up there in the front auditioning by myself, right up here on Davison.
Mm.
Okay, he was a carpenter and he built equipment and stuff that and rented out to DJs. Again, this is before the whole world's DJ. You had to know how to play, records, and so I'm trying to think of where was I going with this here.
So you're saying that because I was gonna say you're meeting your clan obviously by being in this collective.
Correct. So and that's how I got So I went through that and got introduced to Detroit, and that's how I went to mainstream.
In that collective, who were the DJs in that collective?
John Collins, Kevin McAllister, Larry Jefferson, Harriet, Jessica. Did I say Mark? Mark?
No.
Yeah, Mark. It was Felton Howard. It was 12 of us.
Wow. And of those 12, now you're in that collective, and I'm guessing this is the early 80s.
Correct.
You're in this DJ collective in the early 80s, and still, the definition of what this movement of sound isn't even found. Who's making the music? Because also, a lot of the DJs were making music then. Who's creating a lot of the records you're spinning?
DJs weren't making the music. I guess kind of. I'm trying to think. What was happening, or what got me more excited, was the birth of house music happening in Chicago, so I would go there and fill up my trunk with records,
So
and I would come home and I'd play. So at this time, I'm playing at Cheeks.
wait, before we even go to the birth and everything, when's the first time you heard a house record, and what led for you to say, okay, I'm going to Chicago to pick some of this up?
Um, I don't know if I was necessarily calling it house music at the time.
But you knew the sound was different.
I knew I could hear the dance music that I wanted to hear on the radio, so I would get in the car and couldn't wait to get to at least Kalamazoo because it would pick the signal up.
Okay.
Because they wasn't playing nothing like that here. You couldn't hear it, and that was it. You had to go in the club, and they listed it's called the gay music, and like, okay, really? And I just wanted to hear something different. I didn't want to hear your regular
Music.
top 40.
Yeah. So you're driving to Chicago.
Yes.
To buy it.
Yes.
What about the parties? Are you going to any of the events and like seeing the people spin the music as well?
I would play in Chicago as well.
Okay, so you would go there and then also end up playing sometimes.
Yes.
Then.
Yes,
And
I
this
played
is
there a
early
lot.
80s.
Yes.
So I'm guessing possibly there's some people in Chicago that thought you were from Chicago and one of the first house DJs in Chicago, more than likely.
They still do sometimes. Yes, and I still know all old cats. I knew Frankie Knuckles very well.
Wow. And Frankie Knuckles, for a lot of people, is extremely iconic in that movement of house.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
So as that's happening there, also techno begins not exactly as early, but soon after, building and coming in a lot.
5 years later. 5 years.
So in that 5 years, as you're driving back and forth with house,
Yes.
playing house, what's happening to the movement around the house heads and growing in that movement of house, and who's coming to these parties, where the events at, who's hosting these parties, who's the promoters?
Oh, shoot. That's when your groups would have parties.
So the DJ collectives would.
The high schools and colleges would form groups.
Okay.
One of the groups is Charivari. They were a group of kids that had parties, and the music was vanilla. They would do it over La Humo. It was several different groups of parties. I just can't recall them all.
So the groups would just book you guys.
They would have parties,
from
and
the
then you
collective.
come to wherever they would go to have the party. It wouldn't necessarily be a club; it'd be a hall.
Yeah.
But this is where this music would be played.
Okay. And I'm guessing here, because it's not as much on the radio or anything.
Not on the radio
It's
at all.
very much like why I do Detroit is different. This is such a cliquish town.
Yeah, not
It's
on
like
the radio.
underground. If you don't know about it, you're kind of not there, and it may be happening like right next door to where you're at, but you just have no idea. You just look across the street one day, and then you see 60 cars in a parking lot, and you're like, where are they going?
Yep.
Some nondescript location.
Yep.
So, all right, and you're saying 5 years later, techno begins.
Well, it was kind of in its infancy. It was happening, but before it came to be, and I was with those guys too. I heard Strings of Life before the world heard it, and Derek and he would call me over to the house to come listen to it. This was over here on the north end. I remember going up the steps and listening to it. This is on 75 and Woodward. No, 8 Mile.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And they had a house, and I'd go up the steps and I'd listen to it, and they just said, "What you think about this?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, this is pretty good. I like this." And so the first time I heard it raw was through Derek, and it was Strings of Life. But in the meantime, Juan was in Belleville trading beats
at the same time, running concurrent.
a little, kinda. It was. I don't know the timing.
All of the dates, but
yeah, the timing on that. So I don't know if that he happened first and they did that or whatever. But it was coming together.
And at this time, you're DJing. Is this sustaining your whole career? I know engineering is something you're into too. Are you exclusively DJing as like your primary source of income? Like, are you defining yourself as a DJ at this time?
I always had a job because I come from that household that I told you
I
about.
said,
Mom,
hey, you gonna keep working. Yeah, your mama was like,
I
oh, that DJ
you know,
stuff, yeah, you
imagine I
gotta
was
do
pulling in
something
good
else.
money. So when you're young,
Okay.
you can do doubles.
Where were you working?
I worked at Sears.
Oh, which one?
I worked in Highland Park. I hired.
For real, you worked at the HP one?
Yeah,
Shout out
I
to that
worked
one. I used to
not
get.
not the store, but in service. I didn't work in the store.
Oh, okay, okay.
I worked in the background.
Oh, so
I worked.
you may have been when I my first four winter coats was from that Highland Park Sears on layaway.
Okay,
So
no,
it was you possibly that was processing, making sure that my payments was up to date and we got our coat.
nope.
Ah,
I was on the technical end.
you were doing back to engineering.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Correct.
Okay.
So I started out as in customer service. So when you call something break, I was one to answer the phone
Hmm.
and sell you insurance. But
Mm.
of course, I'm in the warehouse with them, and I'm looking at all this. I'm like, hey. So I had them send me to school. So that's I know I can fix everything. So that was that part
Hmm.
of it. We're doing, and they kept laying me off, back and forth, laying me off, and I'm like, okay. And Mom told me go. She go to school. Then I went to Lawrence Tech,
Mm.
and that's where I got the engineering stuff. But I've always
Had that mind.
been that, and
And so during this time, it's like you're
full time working.
full time working and then almost like
Full time in school. I talked to because I teach, and I talked to students. I said, when you have passion for something, you don't let nothing stop you.
because I was gonna say, when did you go to sleep?
I
'Cause-
did. I would mix a song, do this here, yay, sit down, do some calculus.
Because
Get up, mix a song, sit back, do the calculus. I entered that contest. I'll never forget. When I entered the WJLB Motor City Mix Contest, and I won it.
Yeah.
I won.
when was this?
1985.
Oh man.
1985. This cat just posted this thing up on Facebook talking about that.
Hmm.
But yeah, in 85. And so, I talk about when you have passion for something, you know how you go go to the extremes.
And
And it's your own personal extreme. You don't care, sometimes I'm not hurting nobody. I don't know how many cities I ended up. I was broke. All I had was my plane ticket home.
Mm.
I had no money because I spent it all up on records. I do that.
Wow.
I do it again. I don't care, but that's just the love of and having that kind of fire in you. Just, and that's what I have. That's what I had. I still do.
and also so now that I get that perspective and that feel, and I definitely got to bring you back because there's so many more questions I have about the
told you, right?
culture building around, like from the parties people would say that would happen like at the Pontchartrain or the Network,
Oh
and
yeah.
all these different spaces and events. When does it hit? As we can close on this one, and then I definitely gotta bring you back. When does it hit you that the house music, like that cliquish culture, is growing across the city of Detroit? Like is this like the late 80s? When does it hit you that it's like, damn, it went from us being a collective possibly doing the same show where all 12 of us kind of have our own show? When did it kind of become a vibe where it's like, this is a thing?
When the so-called key DJs when Charles Hicks took off work from UBQ to come over and going like, what the fuck y'all here doing?
Wow.
That was the most honorable thing to me because I wasn't doing it to be different. I was doing it because I liked the music, but it was making such an impact that if your guests or your clients, your customers, or whatever you want to title them, come over to somewhere else and go like, I'm getting this whatever it is, and it's so dramatically different that it makes that DJ don't go to work that day to come over and go like, what are y'all doing, to take notes? And that's hats off to him. That would be something I would do if something is happening so spectacular that my people talking about. I'm gonna go try to find out what it is
Yeah.
so I can do it too.
So he found out about the cliquish culture.
He found out about the music because it was just making that much impact. It happened with Ken Collier too, and I took a party on Sunday because he couldn't do it Saturday, and the thing that was introduced to the people, to the kids, was techno.
We want that.
I was playing techno. but I didn't know I was playing techno, but he wasn't.
But
He was playing more dance, but I'm introducing. Remember I said I always been underground and doing something different. And it made him take off work. He got up and came down going like, what the fuck are you down here doing?
So this goes back to like what you said. It's about playing the right music.
There you go.
For the right people.
For the right time. At the right time. There you go.
So it's
there
like,
we go. Yeah.
So as much as like, you still had in your crates, I got some of this disco still.
Yeah.
I got some of this hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
I got some of this house.
Yeah.
But now I see that this techno is connecting and you have these other relationships that already exist.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the party where the right time and the right people.
To have it right. So, yeah.
Is to drop this techno.
Exactly.
And not even necessarily marry yourself to the house movement that you were in as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
You hit it.
That's heavy.
Yeah. You hit it. And it's so much, I said again, I like good music. And so, because of the definitions are so gone, so crazy, as this is called this is called that, nobody know what nothing is no more.
It's just music.
It's just music. And you know if you like it, if it's good or not. So typically, and especially at with the Temple Bar, there's something, and you have mostly college kids that go there and whoever. And they are very ready. They like the old school. They like, they like to dance. They go in there. The place is a dive, but they get it in 100%, and it's like, and it loves it. And so I know these college kids are professional, and they're all whatever. And at the end of the night, I'll drop a Kendall Lamar. Why? Because I like it. Whatever that song is, because it's good, and I know they know it. So I'm not gonna, And so my thing is, when I'm playing for audience, like all of the music, I'm not gonna say just like hip hop. I ain't gonna say just like techno. I ain't gonna say just like house. Take the ride with me.
It's the three things that you said.
Take the ride with me, yeah.
I love it. So now I got to ask you the classic Detroit is Different questions.
Okay.
And I definitely got to bring you back. This is fun. but even before I get to the classics, right now, at this moment, what are some of the projects you're working on? Because you're doing always some cool stuff too.
Oh man, yeah. So, my latest greatest project, is I'm making a movie.
I'm with it.
All right. It's about this, but it's the Ken Collier story.
Wow.
And so many of the things that we talk about
are in that,
and I'm gonna reenact that and live that. And so I'm putting a great team together. They said The Beat of Detroit, the Ken Collier story. That's the title.
I'm with it, and I'm sure that's just such an honor, and it's gonna, as much as this the Ken Collier story, so many other people, places, and things will be put into that to just take those snapshots in time. Because now every time I go to my laundromat, I'm gonna be thinking,
yeah, there you go.
There's something.
There's some major history happening. It's spun off. So not that's what spun me off. And let's see, yeah, none of those guys. Everybody's gone. All of them. Ken, Dwayne, Bernardo.
Wow.
Morris. We just lost Morris and Elton Weathers. Yeah, they're all gone.
That's heavy.
And so
telling your own story.
Yeah, I need to tell the story because their impact, and people that are out now, they have no idea where this stuff was born.
Yeah.
So they have no idea that house and techno came out of Ken as well.
Wow, that's deep.
And I know it because I was there. And nobody told me, and I don't want someone else to come into our town and tell our story.
That's deep.
And that's why it's important for me to do this.
That's deep.
I can remember when Derek would come up there. There's so many little intricate things that I recall, and so that's why it's important for me to get it down, to tell that story, because everybody think, oh, I'm a DJ and all that, but where did this come from? And the fact that it happened in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the fact that I happen to know that Detroit actually invented house music, but that's a whole nother subject. And I got proof. I mean, well,
bringing you back.
I got proof of it, and to just tell you how that part rolled around, and it's not trying to claim who did it or whatever. I'm just going by what happened, and I was there, and then all of a sudden there was this and that. But the one thing that I always tell them, and I have my my Chicago, and I love Chicago. That's my second.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chicago people is sitting up here like, what are you talking about?
Oh no, and they can't even they can't come for me. They are, they can't. You know how, you heard of jacking. the music that was part of the house. The Jack Your Body, Jack, you know,
Yeah.
Jack. Who said this is the house that Jack built? They sang it right at the beginning of their song. They said, "Don't make me. This is the house that Jack built, y'all."
That's oh man, my mind just went mush.
Come on now, there's some history. This is. You want me to tell you?
Yep.
Aretha Franklin.
What's that Jack Belt? That is Aretha.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Remember this house.
Carolyn and all of them are singing backup.
Yeah, but that's how that song. But so that always stays in my mind. I'm like,
yeah,
Jackin' in house.
Okay, all right.
That's in the '60s. That's before. So who made it? Hey, I'm just telling.
So
they can't lie. They can't deny that.
All right. So classic Detroit is different. Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
Ford Galaxy, 1965.
Mm-hmm.
Beige. I got it at 73.
Where's the first place you went with it?
To school.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's straight direct there.
Mm-hmm.
OD commenting. All right. You are one, so this is always going. You're actually. Let me think about it. You may be the first DJ I've asked this question. So I usually say you are a DJ, but and you spinning at the end of the fireworks at Woodward and Jefferson in Spirit Plaza. What two songs are you playing at the end?
Well,
It's the end of the fireworks.
End of the fireworks.
You're in Spirit Plaza, Woodward and Jefferson.
Okay.
You get to play two songs. What songs you playing?
Oh shoot. I don't know. I probably I might make a song to play, and then maybe some souped up song.
Okay.
You know. Let's see, a couple of things cross my mind. Listen, a house music, a Hello Detroit, a souped up version of Flashlight.
Okay. I'm with it.
I'm just, that
Flashlight actually may be the most selected song when I ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Flashlight, and then I say number two.
Because it had to be something to make you do like this here. Whatever to give, whatever and I would have to look to whatever to give you that emotion of making you, be happy. That's some look more for the feel than the thinking of the title of the song. But yes, it should be familiar.
Yep.
Yeah, to me. That's
Flashlight and L.J. Reynolds' "Key to the World" are the most selected songs.
Key to the World, right? Yeah, that's my niece's favorite song, right? Yeah. If I can, and I love both of those songs. Exactly.
Yep.
That's because why? Because it's good music.
Yep.
So with me being a househead and all that, see, that knocks all that out because it's just good music. And I do believe that "Key to the World" is a Detroit thing.
Okay, I mean, I would say L.J. Reynolds would. That's definitely.
It's a Detroit thing. I mean,
Detroit did that. I don't think that's when you say a Detroit song. Like, you're a DJ. Like, that's one of those songs that can be played here.
Yeah,
and everybody's loving it.
Yeah,
and then you go to Indianapolis and they're like,
"Get out of here!" Rack.
Just like just like Stevie Wonder's "My Eyes Don't Cry No More." That's like another one of those Detroit songs. Like, there's a couple songs that are just like so signature of Detroit.
They're just so Detroit, and nothing you can do about it, and it's fine, and that's all right.
And other people are like, "This is a hit song." Like, yeah, this is a song. When I interviewed Hump the Grinder, and he was talking about DJing at the Fresh Fest, and he told Run DMC, in Detroit, we like it's like that. More than sucking MCs, and they was like, "Man, nah," because they were opening. He said, "Yeah, you was right about that," because they did. It's like that. It's just certain records that just
do. You're right. It's like Detroit
is
just what they like, right? Detroit is different, right?
So, last question: you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Say that again, if I could.
Rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Hmm. It's so many, and that's hard. You're saying one Detroit. I don't know. It's so many. Um, it's so many to tell our story, and that's what When I'm going down a list, okay, oh no, but this one, no. So my mind is. I'd say name it Hotwaxx,
I'm with it.
okay? Because I have a mural on Woodward.
Mm.
It's right at the underpass. It's right at over there by the White Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
That's
Okay.
dope.
Okay. So that and that I am Detroit, the heartbeat of the city, and I know stories.
Yeah, you sure do.
I know stories, and I can
I,
I know and that I love it, and I
oh,
understand the culture.
I usually
East
wait.
side and west side.
I usually wait a year to bring somebody best back. You coming back before 12 months because I want to get some more of this, pick it up in this story of this dance music culture.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely I'm looking forward to the movie coming out as
Thank
well
you.
to just get some of these pieces.
Yeah, and so another reason why is I am so on a mission to pay it forward.
Mm.
I'm training DJs. I'm having this Comcast this podcast with you, and it's very important to me for people to know the Detroit history.
Well, I love that you were able to come by today, and this has been something in the making.
I had the kids made this here for me. See
I
that?
love it. The
My-
hot wax, like the hot. I love
like
it.
the Hot Wheels, and that's because
Yeah.
I'm referring to other generations, and and I was like, when we first did that, I went like, because that's not my generation. I didn't write a Hot Wheel, but then he said, I relate to the kids. I listen.
Yeah.
I still listen, and he said, that's who your generation is. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So then I let that fly.
That's so cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today